things were given to man. The first thing God gave to man was his nature, as we already read in Genesis 1:26. That means the man had the DNA of God. And because he had the DNA of God, he was built to function in the God class. You know, I told them humorously in Melbourne that when the advert was put out, we never indicated that the meeting was exclusively for humans. The question is, why didn't dogs attend? Why didn't snakes attend? Why didn't cats attend? Because they don't exist. They don't function in the class of men. And so they don't know what it means to have the experience of humankind. They don't know what it means to function like humans. So when God created the man, he wanted the man to operate like a God man. And the only way he would do that was to give the man his nature. Because no matter how you train a dog, and I understand most of you here have dogs as pets. Some of them have lived with you for 7 years. Some have lived with you for 5 years. But there's no training you give to a dog that will replace a child. A dog can never be as intelligent as a child. Some of you have horses. Horses that you have lived with for 8 years. But you discover that your little child that is 3 years old becomes wiser than the horse. Suddenly, that little child can hold that horse and pull the horse and direct the horse in where to go. So the difference is not age. The difference is nature. The nature of the side makes the child live in a class superior to dogs, makes the child live in a class superior to horses. So when God created us, he didn't want to teach us and train us how to live like gods. So what he did was to give us his nature, so that by natural instinct we function like God, because we were built to live in the God class. And God did not stop there. He went further to give us his likeness. The word likeness actually refers to character, but is deeper than character. Because when you study that word in its original context, that word means demuteia. It is called demuteia, and demuteia means a model. So what God did actually was to create the man to be an agent that reflects the glories of God. So the man didn't just have God's nature. The man was God's architectural design that revealed God's wisdom, revealed God's power, revealed God's glory. So when you want to see God's glory, you don't need to look at the mountains. When you want to see God's glory, you don't need to look into the cloud. When you looked upon the man, he had a way of demonstrating God's glory in such an excellent fashion that he becomes a marvel of creation. You know, when I was studying that word, it dawned on me that most of the beautiful inventions we see in the world were actually designed as models to reveal architectural and engineering intelligence. For instance, you look at some aircrafts, especially military aircrafts. I study a lot of things, forgive me, but I study a lot of things. When you study military aircrafts, you will discover that they were designed to be cutting-edge inventions that beats the imagination of the ordinary man. That is the zenith of engineering intelligence. When you study these aircrafts, there are three major characteristics that are imputed to give them the class that they operate in. Number one is speed. So when you study about military aircrafts, they are trying to beat the edge of speed continually. Most of the aircrafts today that are used for warfare moves more than 3 times the speed of sound. So you find aircrafts that move more than 2 times the speed of sound. So before you blink, they've passed. They've caused havoc. That is the intelligence that is imputed into it. Are you following me tonight? And then you have what they call maneuverability. Is the ability for this aircraft to be able to beat missiles that are launched to destroy them. So they can maneuver in the air. You want to attack, they swing and they get behind you and they destroy you. And that's not all. There's something they call stealth avionics. Is the ability to be obscured to radar, so that when they pass, radar can't dictate them. This makes this aircraft super inventions. So if they want to attack you, for instance, maybe you pick the F-35 or you pick the Su-57, they can pass through your territory. Before you know an aircraft passed, they've done what they want to do and they are gone. I studied one, it's called the B-2 Spirit Bomber. It's a spirit. You can't dictate it on radar, When he enters your territory, he causes havoc and departs before you realize something came here. Now, what I'm trying to achieve tonight is you can't touch those aircrafts. You don't have the license to touch it. Only the engineers and the pilots that fly them can touch them. So even if they give you the opportunity to come to where they are kept, which will require a lot of military clearance, you are not qualified to touch them, because it's not designed to be touched by everybody. Now, that's a mundane creation, but that creation carries so much honor and glory that it defines the majesty of a nation. So sometimes when you want to attack a nation, they won't speak to you. Before they begin diplomacy, they parade some of the aircrafts, they parade some of the missiles, to give you an idea that the nation you are coming against, you are dead on arrival. Are you getting it? You want to fight a nation, before they speak to you, they just open their arsenals, and then you look at aircrafts, you look at missiles, you look at all kinds of equipment, you know, all kinds of weapons. Nobody will tell you. You advise yourself and say, no, I better look for my match. This one is not my size. When they finish the display, then they ask you, what were you saying? Did you say you wanted to fight? You will say, no, I just came to greet you. You know what they have done? They have showcased their majesty, their dominion to their invention. When God wanted to demonstrate his majesty, when God wanted to demonstrate his glory, when God wanted to demonstrate his authority, what he did was to architect a being called man. So when you look at the man, he's a marvel. So much so that in Psalm 8 verse 4, the Bible said, what is man that thou art mindful of him? Or the son of man that thou did visit him? You made him a little lower than the Elohim. You put him in charge over all the works of your hands. So the man is the revelation of the zenith of God's wisdom. The man is the revelation of the zenith of God's power. That is what God created.